early round wide receivers that could absolutely destroy your fantasy football season. Do not draft. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm excited to dive into today's episode. As you know, we start off the episode with the latest news notes. Then we're going to get into, I'm going to pull up a simulation draft. I'm going to show you which wide receivers are coming off early and which ones could be potential landmines, and literally just save your season in this episode. So I'm excited to dive in. And I'm also going to give you reasoning why I'm fading these potential busts in the early rounds. So you need to listen carefully. We're talking fantasy football draft strategy. And of course, I'm going to keep you guys up to date on the latest news and notes. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I'm the only person telling you the truth to sports and fantasy football. Everybody else is playing copy and paste, playing it safe. They're just telling you Ladd McConkey round 2. Why? Simply because he finished on top last year, right? I'm looking at the stats right now. I pull up the stats and I look at the copy and paste stuff. And Ladd McConkey was a top finisher last year. And I was the only one telling you to make sure he's on all your rosters. Last year, when you're looking at fantasy points amongst wide receivers, he finished 12th. Having him a good season, right? Everyone is just copying and pasting. This is the only channel telling you the truth. And I'm looking at who the next Ladd McConkey is, who the next Brian Thomas Jr. is, and making sure I get safer picks in those early rounds. That's what this episode's about. So subscribe, thumbs up. If you haven't got the 16-round draft solution, I'm telling you, go get it. It's priced so everybody can get into it. That's how I priced it. I want everybody in. I can't make it free because I want to filter out people that aren't serious about their leagues. But if you want to actually have the silver platter, the ironclad roster delivered to you, all the optimal players, sleepers, breakouts, grab 60 rounds. I've linked it below. Use code WIN to save. This is the game changer. Do not draft without 16 rounds. It'll be the biggest mistake you'll make. And this secures you the championship, or at least close, a guaranteed playoff spot, right? So make sure you guys do grab 16 rounds. It'll put you light years ahead of the sheep, okay? So let's start off with the latest news and notes. If you haven't watched yesterday's episode, we did a face reveal of Breaking Brad, and I'm going to get to the news. So where is Breaking Brad?
We now have breaking news.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the news here before we get into pulling up these wide receivers to avoid. First and foremost, there might be a trade at the time of this recording. I don't know if it's happened or what's going on, because I record this in the morning of, so it's Tuesday, what's today? June 17th. So maybe it's happened. Who knows? But the Jets may trade Breece Hall. This is just a report. Jets running back is a prime candidate to be dealt at the deadline if New York fails out of a playoff race. So they want to trade him at some point. Like, I don't know when. It says, again, at the deadline if New York fails out of play. So maybe during the season. I don't know. Which team should be making calls for Breece Hall? Let me know. Want to get your feedback there. He's just on the chopping block. I think they've been kind of hinting at getting rid of him or making a move for a while. So just something to keep and just be aware of, okay? I'm fading Breece personally in all my leagues. After last year, I don't trust him. And they've already said, the head coach has said, we are going to be running a committee. And when I hear that, not a good feeling, man. I don't feel warm and fuzzy about that, okay? And other news and notes here I want to talk about here is Matthew Golden, the rookie for the Green Bay Packers. If you guys aren't up to date, apparently he's likely to be getting plenty of playing time right away. And this is an opinion of some of the people watching the, scouts and stuff. And, apparently with Christian Watson being out with the knee, he's set to miss the start of the season while recovering from a torn ACL. Surprise, surprise. Water is wet. Christian McCaffrey too. Yeah. Christian Watson is hurt. So Golden seemingly going to get work, and they invested high draft capital in him. Why not? Although I still do think that there's going to be a huge volume share and distribution between all those wide receivers. I don't know if there's going to be enough meat on that bone to really grab Golden. In best ball, I think Golden has himself a couple big games, but I just don't know about the consistency based on the current scenario and landscape there, okay? Colston Loveland, the new tight end rookie, high draft capital pick by the Chicago Bears, has some sort of shoulder issue, but it's kind of been bothering him, but was named as a choice for best rookie in the NFC North by a bunch of writers that are in the industry, in the sports industry, although they drew parallels to Detroit Lions' Sam Laporta. So they're kind of comparing him to Sam Laporta or the scouts and the so-called experts. But again, I just think there's not going to be enough distribution for Loveland to get a ton of volume. He's going to have some big games, don't get me wrong. but there's just a lot of mouths to feed. And do we trust Caleb Johnson? That's something that, you guys got to make a decision on, okay? Apparently, wide receiver for the Raiders, Trey Tucker, was a standout, performing during the mandatory minicamp last week. And here's the deal, man. I don't trust Trey Tucker. I don't trust Jacoby Myers. I think they're fake and phony wide receivers. Jack Betch and also Dante Thornton have a really good opportunity to become the wide receiver ones there. Apparently, Thornton is playing with the ones, the first team offense. It's going to be interesting to see how those guys do, because I don't believe in Myers. I don't believe in Trey Tucker. And then you could say, well, maybe Bauer is going to be the guy. It's a new offense, so there's a lot of uncertainty at the wide receiver position in that offense, but I'm stashing Thornton and Betch and hoping that because I think they're way more talented, those two guys, than the current wide receivers. I'm not into Trey Tucker and all that. And you could say he did well in minicamp because he knows the offense. He's been there a while, okay? So some of these guys by default are just doing good because they're there. Hey, look, we already know the offense. Look at us, right? And the new guy comes in, learns the playbooks, and the talent rises to the top, okay? So just be careful there. Apparently, Jordan Addison is having a good connection with QB JJ McCarthy during mandatory minicamp last week. McCarthy said he plans to work out with Addison leading to up to training camp. So good for Addison. You're still a wide receiver too. You're not going to be on my fantasy team. Trey Benson said he believes that he will be more involved in the offense this offseason and thinks the team has two number one running backs in him and James Conner. I don't even think James Conner should be the one. I think it should be the Benson show. So I'm making sure that I get Benson on all my rosters mid to late rounds. Great value. I'm getting him in a lot of best ball leagues super late. There's an opportunity for him to become the RB1. James Conner is due for an injury. I'm surprised he didn't get hurt last year. He gets hurt all the time. He's a backup guy. He was a backup for the Steelers for years. He's not a true RB1. Another fake and phony at the position. They got to run Trey Benson if they have any shot at winning. They really got to fix that offense. They got to throw the ball, maximize the opportunity with Marvin Harrison, and run their best running back, which is Trey Benson. It's going to be interesting to see how that situation works there. Okay, so that's pretty much with the news. Oh, also, I really want to talk about the J.K. Dobbins Harvey thing. Apparently, they're saying they really like Dobbins. He's going to be more than a veteran presence. They're going to use him a lot. Blah blah blah. It's like buying something at the store and you have a little bit of buyer's remorse on it. You're like, I shouldn't have bought that. That was really expensive. Why did I do that? And then it's like, okay, well, I got to try to I can't return it. So I got to just try to make the best of it. That's what I feel like they're doing with Dobbins. I think he sucks. I don't think he's that good. If he was amazing, he was in a great situation last year with the Chargers. He would have ran for 2,000 yards, would have absolutely destroyed it. But no, he finished, 24th or something stupid amongst running backs in fantasy? He didn't do anything. I'm looking at it right now. 24th. 195 attempts, 4.6 yards per carry, not bad. 905 yards, couldn't crack 1,000 yards, right? 191 fantasy points, 24th in fantasy. Again, he's a fake, he's a phony, similar to Rico Dowdle was in Dallas, right? Last year, right? Some of these guys, they just, DeAndre Swift, another fake, a phony. Tony Pollard, another fake and phony, right? All these guys, Javonte Williams, a fake and phony. These guys are never going to be ultra elite. They're just not. They're not good running backs. So in comes Harvey. Second round draft capital, they got to run Harvey. They got to really utilize Harvey, okay? I want to talk about that. And also, Genty, they're saying that they're going to be going by committee there. I don't believe it, man. Maybe to start, but it almost feels like they got to just pacify and make these old veteran running backs feel good about themselves, because they can't just say, hey, we've got a running back room of 4, but we're just going to play Genty. If they say that, it kind of makes the other people not so driven. They want those guys working hard too. You got to understand, right? These guys are human. They want to, they're real people, right? So if you break their spirit and say, hey, we're only going to run Genty, the other running backs are like, what's the point of even showing up? But if they feel there's a chance, so you're telling me there's a chance, right? Then they're going to be more driven to go, but I think it's a Genty. You don't draft a person in the first round unless you're Arthur Smith years ago and you bench your starting running back. And we saw the mistake that Arthur Smith did with Bijan. He benched him in his rookie year. He was playing Algier, and we saw the potential of what Bijan could be. So that's the same type of situation. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, but that's why you get a lot of running backs early and avoid those wide receivers early. Get those running backs that are workhorse, okay? So that's it for the latest news and notes. Thank you, Breaking Brad. Anything you want to say to the listeners?
We now have breaking news.
A man of little words, okay? So make sure you guys do grab the 16-round draft solution as I pull up. Go ahead, take a pause, grab 16 rounds, use code WIN to save. Click on the link below, watch it. Now let's get to these wide receivers, okay, to avoid. Now, I've got, if you're in the car, I've got a simulation pulled up, but it's okay. You don't need a visual. But if you got the visual, that's great. Go to YouTube, turn on the bell, subscribe there. You need to be subscribed to the YouTube channel for all the visuals. I'm telling you, man, you'll be light years ahead of the sheep. Okay, so take a look at the simulation here, particularly the first round. Let's go through that. Now let's see who's going to come off here at the end of round one. It's probably going to be a McCaffrey realistically or Achin because I'm on the 12th spot here. Let's look at the wide receivers that are coming off in the first round. I want to do kind of like the first 4 rounds and look at kind of the wide receiver bust. Now the ones that I'm going to mention are going to bust. Not all of them are going to bust. Like literally not all of them are going to bust. But I am making you aware of potential pitfalls. That being said, I think every player has potential pitfalls. It's just a matter of who has more red flags. That is something that you guys have to make a decision, especially in those precious early rounds of your draft, okay? So taking a look at who's coming off round one, Jamar Chase. Now, I'm doing a ton of best ball leagues, high stakes best ball leagues. It's $125 buy-in. Well, not really high stakes, but $125 is no chump change if you do like 20 leagues and stuff like that. And then you've got a $300K potential win. But I see Jamar Chase is the guy coming off 9 out of 10 times at the first overall position. Understand that Jamar Chase is coming off a massive 1,700-yard season, 17 touchdowns, just an astronomical 403-point fantasy season, which he has never, ever achieved in his career. The closest to a 403 fantasy point season that Jamar Chase has achieved was 304 in his rookie year. In that year, he only had 128 targets compared to the 175 of last year, 13 touchdowns compared to the 17. So when I say that this guy has peaked, I mean that he has absolutely peaked. Not to mention he just got paid. He's already been incentivized. He's already the belly's full. I like Jamar Chase. I think he's a great player. I'm not knocking him. All I'm saying is that he's never seen this type of production and it's very unlikely that he's going to do it again. That being said, I still recommend him in 16 rounds as an option, but not the guy that I am drafting. When I show you my mock drafts in 16 rounds, he's not the guy I'm drafting in round one, okay? I'm going running back round one for the reasons that I stated in the latest news, if you were listening. Everyone's trying to go by committee. You want to minimize the risk and not go by committee, right? You want to try to get a buy-gen or someone like that that's not in a committee. Okay, so let's keep going here. Jefferson, I think the only knock to him is J.J. McCarthy and the uncertainty there. That being said, as long as J.J. McCarthy is efficient enough to force feed him, I think Jefferson's going to be fine, but you got that issue, okay? CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he's safe. I think he's trending upwards based on last year. Had a bit of a down year, finished 8th amongst wide receivers. Again, Dak Prescott and his injuries and all that stuff. Kind of hard to trust, but I think he's kind of slightly trending upwards. Puka's always a question mark, massive ceiling guy. You got to just deal essentially with a potential injury. Do we trust him? Is he the real deal? What's going on with Puka? What do I expect from him? Nobody really knows. They're just kind of banking on ceiling. I think his ceiling is, even though he's got a high ceiling player and he's a good player and he's if he stays healthy, the problem is they've drafted a rookie in a tight end in Terrence Ferguson, and they also brought in Adams there. And it's like, man, and here's another thing. We're going to talk about pitfalls. Adams, right? He's the wide receiver too, essentially. Drafted, this reminds me similarly to, again, the Ayuk and Deebo Samuel last year. Instead, this time you're paying way more draft capital if you average it out because Puka's coming off round one. So just be cautious there. Let me just run the simulation. Let's get a couple rounds laid out so you guys can see a little bit more. So I would not, let's go Derrick Henry at 12 here because he's kind of next on cue. And then back him up here. Let's go, I don't know. Let's go another running back. Let's go Chase Brown. Chase Brown's in a great situation, by the way. I don't think he doesn't have that big ceiling that a Barkley does or something like that, but Chase Brown's in a great situation. Okay, so I think he typically comes off end of round 2, not so early round 2, but I just did this we're focusing on wide receivers here, okay? So when you look at the first 3 rounds, now Sutton typically falls to 4. Let me just do one more here. Kyron won't fall to end of 3, but we're going to do that. And we're going to see, Adams is next on cue. I wouldn't do that. I'd rather go Harrison over Adams. Okay, so here we go. We've got the first 4 rounds, and we're going to look at the landmines, or first 5 rounds laid out, and we're going to look at the landmines. Who is going to potentially bust? I'll tell you some of the rip-offs here in these early rounds, okay? The thing that's jumping out at me right away, immediately, is T. Higgins round 2. Now, if you guys remember a couple years ago, the Sheep told you to draft Higgins round 2. And I'm just like, dude, don't do it. Don't draft T. Higgins round 2. And then he ended up getting hurt. He played 12 games that year and finished like 50th amongst wide receivers, busted hard. And now he had a good season last year, his best season. And it's like, okay, T. Higgins round 2 again. It's like, it's stupid. There's way better wide receivers later. Look at all these wide receivers ones here I can mention here, okay, that are later. Calvin Ridley, Khalil Shakir, or Keon. Stack both of them, right? All the wide receivers for Raiders, stack a bunch of them. You're going to get a 1 eventually, right? Who else is down here? Lots of good. Rashid Shaheed is down here, like way later. A ton of these rookies, right? There's a ton of wide receivers later. Jerry Jeudy's even out here available in round 6, which I don't really care about. Olave around 5 to 6. So there's more value later than going at T. Higgins round 2. And not to mention deeper rounds, tons of sleepers, okay? And all you need typically for most leagues is 2 good wide receivers. That's it. And last year, McConkey and Brian Thomas were my wide receivers. And like I was fine because I went RB heavy and I had Barkley and I had Josh Allen, who's a running quarterback, and I had Derrick Henry earlier on. So I was totally fine. And that's what you need to do. You need to make sure you secure the correct running backs earlier on. So Higgins is a red flag. McConkey's a major red flag. I don't think he's the one. Everyone's saying McConkey's the one on the team. Why? Why is McConkey the one? Because last year he was the one, because nobody else was there. Now they've got Trey Harris there. Dude, I do not like this. Like, let's talk common sense. Welcome to the Counselor's Common Sense Squad. Let's talk a little bit of common sense here, okay? Lad McConkey, I was the only one screaming, telling you wait on wide receiver and make Lad McConkey and Brian Thomas Jr.'s your wide receiver ones. Because they're going to be wide receiver ones on the team. We were getting McConkey round 7 to 9, typically round 8, whatever, especially when it was earlier in the draft season, like May, June, we were getting McConkey. Then his ADP started going up. But now, remember, he was going around 8, 9. Now he's going round 2 with a true X wide receiver 1 there in Trey Harris. So not only is he in a worse situation, he's coming off way earlier. So he's a hard pass for me. Listen, you got to look at the scenario. That being said, there's a chance that he could continuously be force-fed and he still becomes the one, but I just don't see them not using the best receiver on the field, which is Trey Harris. And I see a lot of channels. I don't watch a lot of channels, but I was kind of tuning into a couple of these YouTube channels and stuff. Everyone's talking about Lad McConkey round 2. This is fool's gold. I'm not sold on it. It's coming from the only guy telling you to draft McConkey. I was the guy that came up with the thing. Don't be a donkey, draft McConkey. Now I'm telling you, you are a donkey if you draft McConkey. I'm changing the theme because he's way too expensive. I'm warning you. Heed my warning. I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, I'm still drafting a safer player in round 2, okay? Nico Collins, I think they brought in a lot of wide receivers there. Is Stroke going to get back to form? The question mark with him is like, which CJ are we getting? Are we getting the CJ from his rookie year, or are we going to get like the bust CJ from his sophomore year? That's a big question mark, okay? Other wide receivers here, I like Malik. Amon-Ra St. Brown just had a knee surgery. They cleaned out his knee. I don't know, man. Is that going to be an issue coming off that? There's a lot of talk about Jameson Williams stepping up. And that being said as well, Jameson Williams is coming off relatively early in drafts as well. Here he is at the 4. Now, this is a simulation. It's going to vary 1 or 2 rounds. But Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra are coming off very early. You're getting the 2 here. And a lot of people will make this guy, if they go robust RB or get a quarterback, will make this their wide receiver 1, or maybe in this case a wide receiver 2. I don't trust it. I don't trust him. Now, for best ball, he's going to have some big games, whatever, but I don't trust it. Other pitfalls here. You got Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice coming off in rounds 3 and 4. This is very reminiscent of the Deebo Samuel Ayuk situation last year that I warned everybody about. Maybe one emerges, maybe the other one doesn't. Maybe a suspension happens to Rice, maybe it doesn't. Maybe Xavier Worthy is the main target, maybe he isn't. They've got Kelsey there, they got other targets, they got running backs to catch the ball. They spread the ball a lot, right? So I'm really questioning this situation. They're big time landmine problem. And there's Adams again. We're getting a similar situation, Puka and Adams, right? So my question is like, why is it that, these wide receivers, you look at the Chiefs and you look at the Rams, you look at the Bengals round 1 and 2, why are these favored over Justin Herbert's receiver? Now in this case, Lad McConkey's coming off round 1. I get it. But like the Raiders receivers or even Cam Ward's receivers are just like bottom feeders. There's so many other potential, even like Jordan Love's receivers. I get it. They're going to split, there's going to be a lot of timeshare and splitting the balls. Even the Saints receivers. And the big part of it is obviously the rookie quarterbacks and that type of thing. But again, they spread the ball around here. It's just a high draft capital. I would roll the dice on a bunch of these other wide receivers that are just value. And I guarantee you're going to hit two of them. This is what I explained in 16 rounds, right? Like, you're going to have an optimal roster. You don't need to spend T. Higgins is you're not a guarantee. Like, you're going to probably get, if he doesn't get hurt, 109 targets max. Why would I want a wide receiver that peaks at 109 targets max? It's just unacceptable for me. So if that's the case, where T. Higgins peaks at 109 targets, that puts him 26th in targets amongst wide receivers based on last year, right? 109 targets, let's do the math, makes him wide receiver 26 in targets. So Jacoby Myers last year had 129 targets. To put it in perspective, Terry McLaurin 120. Marvin Harrison, who had a terrible year not terrible, but not as good as he could have, had himself 116 targets, more than Higgins, and he's going to get more this year. Even a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson, 140 targets. I'm not crazy on Wan'Dale. I have no stock. I don't care for him on the Giants last year, 140 targets. So why would I draft a guy, right, in T. Higgins that is 26th in targets? It doesn't make sense. These guys are diluted in targets and coming off early. So, again, Smith as well, wide receiver 2, and so on and so forth. Chris Godwin, they just drafted a rookie wide receiver. Why would you grab Chris Godwin here? Chris Godwin makes zero sense to me in the 4th round, knowing there's so many question marks in regards to target distribution. And again, you got Mike Evans and Godwin coming off back to back. I want you guys, the point of this video is I want you guys to see. I want to unlock your mind into stuff that nobody's talking about. Do not, I repeat, this is a rule that you have to implement. I've been implementing it. I'm very successful. I smash year-long drafts. It's do not draft wide receiver 2s on their team and make them essentially your wide receiver 1 or even your wide receiver 2 on your team, because there's a ton of value, a ton of depth at the wide receiver position. So let's recap this here and wrap it up. Make myself smaller here on the visual. So take a quick hard look here and see what I see. Do you see what I see? Isn't that a Christmas song? Okay, so listen. It's like Rashee Rice-Worthy, very close in ADP, very high. DJ Moore, another guy. Are you kidding me right now? Man, it's just, there's no ceiling there. I don't trust. If you talk about not trusting a quarterback, it's going to be a guy like DJ Moore. And I don't know if Caleb Johnson's the real deal or not. They drafted Loveland. Rome Odunze takes a step up this year. They drafted Luther Burden. It's man, I don't know. And then Hunter, I think there's a high ceiling maybe in best ball there, but Brian Thomas has to get hurt. And then Hunter's a great value. In fact, I think Hunter's a better value than Brian Thomas round 1. Very expensive. Coming off a pinnacle year, and they added another wide receiver 1. Disaster situation. Brian Thomas has got bust written all over him. He already, got a little minor injury on the field in minicamp. He's okay, thank God. But yeah, man, it's just very expensive. Malik Neighbors was a round 3 pick last year. Brian Thomas was a round 8-9 pick. Ladd McConkey was around 8-9 pick. Now they had a good season. They're up here. And it's they're in worse situations than last year. Okay, that's what I want to get across. Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd McConkey are far more expensive in fantasy drafts this year, and they are in worse situations. Travis Hunter was a 1st-round pick and a wide receiver 1, respectively. He's going to demand targets, and so is Trey Harris, who's a true 1. And the reason that these guys, and I was drafting them, telling everyone to draft them last year, Brian Thomas and Ladd, is because I knew they were going to be the 1. There was nobody else there that's as talented. And everybody told you Christian Kirk ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. last year. I'm like, no, don't do it. But that's where the rankings were telling you, and that's why rankings don't work. So, I don't want to spend too much time. I've laid it all out here. Take a look. Okay, Higgins, McConkey, Thomas, Amon-Ra, Puka. Be careful with these guys, especially the early rounds. Rashee, nobody knows who the 1 is there. Suspension possibly looming. Be careful. Okay, guys that are trending up, Marvin Harrison. Cortland Sutton is safe. Contract year. Drake London should be okay. AJ Brown should be okay. Possible Super Bowl hangover. Malik is awesome, trending upwards. Jackson Smith is good. So there's a lot of good in here, and I think a lot of people do well, but just be aware of the red flags at the wide receiver position, all right? If you are new to the channel, subscribe, thumbs up. Go grab 16 rounds if this is making sense to you. Common Sense Corner here with the counselor, okay? Hit the thumbs up, and I'll keep the daily content coming to you daily. Subscribe.